back. Athlete or not, a concussion can happen to any of us. So how do you know if you have one, and what steps can you take once a concussion is diagnosed?
Physical Therapy and Balance Centers can help you, and here with more is concussion specialist Dr. Nicholas Branch, along with General Manager Dr. R.J. Williams. Gentlemen, how are you?
Hello.
Very good. Thank you for having us.
We all have heard of concussions. We all see it. We watch the NFL.
Sure.
They're taken off the field. What is a concussion? What's actually happening when you have a concussion?
So a concussion is a form of traumatic brain injury. It's more specifically a form of mild traumatic brain injury. What's happening is you have the gelatinous brain, the mushy brain structure inside your hard encasing, which is your skull.
Yeah.
And what's happening is you're having the brain sort of bump up against the inner encasing of the skull. And what happens is we have tiny interconnections we call axons that are in the brain, that when we have that jarring of the brain against the skull, we get some damage, and that affects the way we can process information. And that's what leads to a lot of the symptoms. We'll see dizziness, vertigo, headaches, symptoms with exertion, things like that.
So those are some of the symptoms you should look out for.
Correct.
If you have a concussion.
Definitely.
All right. And then what are the most common causes of it other than being smacked in the head?
Sure. There's not only is there direct impact with the head on head-on collision, helmet to helmet, there's also forms of indirect injury, similar to whiplash. So someone in a car accident, you're, restrained by a seatbelt, you have that high velocity head movement, and we think about that gelatinous structure, that brain that's in the skull, and it's moving at high velocities, and we get that damage to those structures, those interconnections in the axons. So not only is it motor vehicle accidents, athletics, falls, with this month being Falls Prevention Month as well, that's a high incidence of brain injury related to falls as well.
No question. So what does the concussion rehabilitation program include to help get people on the straight and narrow? Is this something that can be treated?
Yeah, so definitely. One of the things that we look at is right now what's known as best practice is rest. And people just say, oh, kind of wait it out. And from a physical therapy standpoint, we know that that's usually not the correct answer.
Yeah.
Kind of just letting things linger isn't the best way. So what we do is we have a very unique set of exercises, given our background in vestibular therapy, that we apply exercises for the inner ear, because just like the brain, the inner ear suffers some trauma in this high velocity head movement as well. In addition to doing work in cognitive therapy and balance therapy to get those systems on the right track, doing the things that they should be doing normally again, that they're having difficulty doing because of the head injury.
Yeah, as you mentioned, most people think you just get rest, that
Right.
it's like physical therapy for when you break an arm, break a leg, you got to go back in and get stretched out, and so there is something you can do for concussion.
Correct.
And what is the difference between your program and, let's say, somebody else's concussion program?
So here at Physical, the difference with our comprehensive concussion program, our goal at Physical, my goal personally in developing the program, is that we provide the nation with the most comprehensive management of concussion. So we start with pre-injury education seminars for youth leagues, schools, local providers, and sort of go right into our baseline assessment, which is the most thorough in the nation. Not only do we implement sort of a computerized neurocognitive tests, we also look at balance, we look at the vestibular system, as Dr. Williams had mentioned, the information that's going from our inner ear to the brain. We have the most innovative technology to look at that. And then immediately after the injury, we have the most innovative ability to look at how an individual presents compared to that baseline. So we have even better picture compared to what we looked at prior to the injury.
And I know a lot of athletes, they're obviously strapped up. I mean, it seems there's more protective gear. The faster they're running, they become missiles.
Correct.
Do you think that athletes should be constantly diagnosed, whether or not they have a concussion, constantly monitored?
Yes, we definitely believe that we should have constant monitoring. We should have baseline screenings on a yearly, annual basis.
Yeah.
At our clinics, we're offering screenings throughout our physical-related clinics to have that information taken care of. But the more detailed we are on the front end of concussion, the better we can manage it, the better we can treat it, and make sure that individuals are truly safe in returning back to sports.
Yeah, if you don't go in and get checked out, what are long-term effects?
So I was going to say, piggybacking off of what Nick said, the best thing to do is be able to compare you to you. So if you've had a head injury and you come in, all of the testing in the world is going to give you kind of a post-head injury assessment, a picture. So getting in early, getting tested prior to any suspected involvement lets us look back and say, here's where you were before, here's where you are now.
You need a baseline.
Exactly.
Of course.
So we can go forward and do that. And then letting things go on where they haven't been treated, this can turn into chronic problems for people. Long-term depression, things of these dizziness feelings that aren't going away.
Yeah.
One of the things when it doesn't get treated, these episodes of feeling spinning or feeling just off balance in your daily life doesn't resolve. And people just start to think that I'm going to live this way forever, and that's just the way it is.
The sooner you nip it in the bud, the better. Before we go, I just want to make sure that we mention that you have sports clinics, and also to mention the special offer that you're offering.
Right. So out of our clinics right now, if you want to get your kid baselined or get metrics on that, you can come in. We'll test you for $50. We'll get you a basic baseline. That data that we were talking about, you can compare in the future and see if there's ever a problem compared to where you were today.
Wow.
And then also there's a sister company of ours in town. It's called Physical Sports. They have 2 locations as well. They are doing, the addresses are up on the screen right now. They're doing a Bumps and Bruises clinic. They're calling it on Saturdays. So right now with a high school football season, you get kind of beat up and banged up on Friday. They're opening their doors saying, come in, let us help you feel better. We're planning to be there as well to get more opportunity to baseline people.
Well,
Great.
thank you, gentlemen.
It's great having you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so
Steph.
much.
Get the right care for concussions with Physical Therapy and Balance Centers. To learn more, just call the number or head to the website on your screen. They have locations in Vegas and Henderson.